You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Pats Nation post-game show, and it is finally the regular season. And not only is it the regular season, Matt, but the Patriots are 1-0, pulling off the upset victory in Cleveland, 8.5-point underdog.
Cincinnati.
That's what I said. Yep, Cincinnati. wrong Ohio City. So you know what they're talking on the TV? They were talking about the Browns,
The Browns,
and the Cowboys, and that's what. So, anyways, yes,
in
Cincinnati,
Ohio
one of those Ohio places. It's all the same in Ohio, anyways, isn't it? So yeah, it was pretty great, a little unexpected for a lot of people. I thought they'd keep it close. I didn't think they'd win, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, I thought they would have a chance once I saw that T. Higgins wasn't going to play. I mentioned Higgins there and not Chase, just because of the size matchup. You know, for as good of a player as Jamar Chase is, they kind of have a cornerback room dedicated to stopping players that size. They just don't have, and if you got T. Higgins out there, you probably end up with Christian Gonzalez on T. Higgins a lot. And then that means that Jamar Chase is going to be on Jonathan Jones or Marcus Jones, which, I think New England's going to be competitive there. But Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. He's going to do Jamar Chase things if he's on those guys one-on-one. So no T. Higgins. I thought helped New England a ton. Thought the Bengals looked incredibly sloppy today. I did not think they looked well prepared for what New England was going to do. And I think the Patriots went out there and, we talked scheme and everything. They played a more physical ball game today from the first play. And I think that kind of ended up being what decided it. They took the lead and never gave it back.
Yep. Totally true. 100%. By the way, you're breaking up a little bit, Matt. I'm not sure if it's your connection or what's going on over there, but but you're going just a little slow there, just so you know. So additionally, you're totally right. Like they came out and just punched them in the mouth, and Cincinnati just had no answer for it. And it's one of those things that you absolutely love to see. It's the mental and physical toughness that you need from a football team. And I feel like it was missing the last 2 years. Certainly last year, they had none of it, almost none of it last year. This year, it feels different. It just feels different, and I think they believe in Mayo. I mean, shoot, they gave him the Gatorade bath on the sideline. Like, they're clearly having fun. It's those types of things that you see that make you excited about what's going on over here. And again, it doesn't mean it's going to be this way every week, right? We understand. I'm not living in a fantasy world that, the Patriots are going to be a Super Bowl contender or anything like that. Like, if you can stop the run against the Patriots, you can stop their offense, right? Like, but today they looked really hard to stop when they were running the ball. And I think that's one of the things. And so I was really excited about that. I don't know how you can not be excited about the direction of the team. Again, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be, this great team or anything like that. But shoot, this is exactly what you wanted to see. Like, I couldn't have drawn up a more perfect way for this game to go than this. Maybe, Jalen Poole catching a touchdown pass, something like that. Like, but it just it was great. It was fantastic. And that was one of those things that, man, who the heck saw this coming? It was great.
Well, and I think what was important, we heard, Patriots coaches this week talk about how the recipe for winning this game was to go out, run the ball, control the clock, play good defense. And they did that. I think that is important, that the coaches said this is how we need to win the game, and then the team did those things, and it resulted in them winning the game. Talk about internal confidence. I think that is huge for the coaches, for the players to have confidence in the coaches, and vice versa. We talk about the relationship building there, which I think is big, and the trust that you need to have in your coaching staff as a player to be told, hey, we go out there and do X, Y, and Z, we're going to have a really good chance of we're probably going to be able to win this game, and you do it. Amazing stuff there. I thought they set the tone early. Things could have gone off the rails with the very first play where you get a false start on the opening kickoff, which felt a little on the nose after the way the preseason went, to Del Pettis jumping a little early there. But no, you forced 3 and out. And I think if look at this from the Cincinnati side for a second, I think you saw the lack of weapons that team has outside of the top 2 wide receivers.
Yep.
The offensive line looked okay. The running backs looked okay. The receivers outside of Jamar Chase did not look good. Team has no depth. Tight ends did not make they can get into some of the details there. The sequence. The Bengals were in the red zone near the end of the first half, I think, was kind of the deciding sequence of the game in a lot of ways. 2 different Bengals tight ends could have scored a touchdown in that moment. Neither did it. You see Mike Gesicki go up over Kyle Duggar, made it look like a fantastic play. Can't corral it.
Stinks.
Hudson on the next play makes his great little route to get underneath his own receiver there. Catches the ball and extends the ball too early going for the end zone. Kyle Duggar with a fantastic play to knock it out. Marcus Jones with the scoop. And, this is the kind of stuff we've seen from the Patriots for a long time, of when the defense forces you to beat them with your second, third, fourth options. The second, third, fourth options weren't good enough, and they'd make mistakes, and they'd cost you games. And we saw that from the Bengals today.
Right. 100%. And, for me personally, what it comes down to, and even defensively, look at the Patriots defensively. The last few years, they've been good, but they haven't forced a ton of turnovers. They haven't been a turnover team, right? Where they're in 2021, they did, right? Which helped them out quite a bit. 2022, not really.
Well, 2022 they did.
They were okay. Last year they didn't. They
fell
did
off
okay
last year.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and
but to force, multiple fumbles. I mean, the crazy stat, right, is that, Cincinnati lost 2 fumbles all of last year, and then lost 2 fumbles today in the first game. They had another strip sack where Keon White stripped, Burrow, and then of course Burrow recovered it. But it's those types of things where they're going for the ball, they're fighting for, that type of stuff that adds up over the course of a season. That adds up. And you love to see them playing with that aggressiveness, and and again, who knows how long you can keep that going, but it's a step in the right direction. And I think that's really what you're looking for. And listen, you mentioned them, or someone mentioned on here, playing with the defense and the special teams playing so well, being smart and effective. And Tommy Kahn was talking about it and said, this is a Bill Belichick era win, right? Where you play smart football. You don't get behind the chains. You don't make stupid mistakes. You force the other team into making some dumb mistakes. And, sure, you just hold on. I mean, they just held on and won, right? It wasn't like they did anything crazy, but that's what you needed the team to do. And they did exactly that. They played really well. Bryce Behringer was awesome. Punt coverage was awesome. Like, that stuff was great. Like, they did a great job doing that. And so you looked at it and said, all right, like, this is how you win football games. And if they're going to win, and again, they're still probably not going to win a ton of games this year, okay? But when they win, it's going to be because of games like this, right? And that's really, like, at least now we look at it and say, okay, they can do it. They can do it. They can't do it every week probably, but they can do it. And so you can see them winning a few games, and you can start to see some of that growth.
Yeah. You talk about being opportunistic on defense too. You should go right to the second play from scrimmage. Keon White gets to the quarterback and knocks the ball out. And yeah, it's not recover the fumble, but it's still a strip sack.
Yep.
Ball still going backwards. And this is what a lot of it was for Cincinnati. Or the first down play, the first play of the game is a run, goes nowhere. Second play of the game, you get the strip sack. Third down. The Patriots, they put 7 men up on the line of scrimmage. 7 men on the line of scrimmage. And then backed out into what was essentially a cover 2 zone. Like, Christian Gonzalez was lined up in what looked like man coverage on the outermost receiver on one side, and then is dropping back into a deep half zone. And you got guys over the ball running out, and But they played it very smartly because the ball goes to Mike Gesicki underneath, and it's Jawan Bentley running out, and Marcus Jones with smart eyes. They see exactly where the ball is going. They trigger the second that Burrow is starting to throw the ball. They get there. Gesicki goes nowhere, and it's short of the sticks, and you're punting. And I thought that's how the team played basically all game long. They got a little bit tired in the run defense, I think, later in the game. I think that's where you see the lack of depth on the defensive line. But this is the recipe for victory for this team defensively. Stop the run on early downs. Go to exotic stuff on passing downs, and hopefully force a couple turnovers in there, and down to down, play very, very physical football and try to wear down the opponent and try to, make them make worse decisions, not pick up extra yards as when they're running through tacklers or anything, and executed all of that to perfection.
Yeah. Dude, speaking about punts, oh my God. I'm watching the Sunday Night Football game, and I would be so mad if I was the punter. The punter just kicked a perfect punt. It landed inside the one and checked up going back. And the idiot dude slid from like the 7-yard line and just booted it right into the end zone. I was like, what? Just get out of the way. What are you doing? It was insane. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is just. Anyways, but that's exactly what you're talking about defensively is exactly what they need to do, right? Be aggressive. Trigger and listen, you mentioned T. Higgins not being there, and we saw Marcus Jones play physical again today. I thought, he was an underrated player that they missed last year. Obviously, everyone talks about Christian Gonzalez being out. That obviously was a big deal. But I really do think that Marcus Jones not being there either was a big deal for them as well. And you see the depth there. John Jones had a few really nice plays. And, Christian Gonzalez, John Jones, and Marcus Jones, that's a solid trio. That's a solid trio in the secondary. And then you add in Kyle Duggar, who played well today. Then you add in Jabril Peppers. Then you add in Jalen Hawkins. Then you add, and it's like now you're sitting there saying, okay, like we can work with that, And I think, if they're going to play as physical as they did today and they're going to run around quite as much as they did, they're going to be a really good defense. And we kind of knew that anyways. But it was really nice to see. And like you said, that the exotic looks that we didn't get a chance to see a lot in the preseason. And, you mentioned exotic looks on defense, and Spectre Dez has over here that, number 70 declared eligible 100 times, right? Like Caden Wallace was in at tight end over and over and over and over and over again. And they just ran the ball down their throat. And it was great like that. And that's exactly what you want to see, man. Just like, again, muck it up, play solid defense, and be able to run the ball consistently. And you brought in Caden Wallace. I thought Caden Wallace looks really good. Now, again, he's 9 times out of 10 was run blocking, not pass blocking. So, like, obviously, it's a little bit easier to run block than pass block. But, it was awesome to see. And they just got after it on both sides of the football. And as you mentioned, that drive where Cincy just blew it down their throat, outside of that, they were dominant on both sides of the line, and that's how you win.
Yeah, and I thought, pass protection, there were some issues they're gonna have to work out. We knew that. Running the ball, though, they found enough that worked. Especially the stuff inside the tackles, I thought worked very well. And a pattern all afternoon was that whoever the first guy was in on Ramondre was not going to end up making that tackle. And you saw that early on. The first big play from scrimmage on offense, I think, was the second play of the game. They basically have everybody on the offensive line down blocking. So what that means is that everybody's blocking towards kind of away from the direction that the ball is going. So you run to the right, all the offensive linemen are blocking the guy to their left, just trying to push everybody left.
Yeah.
And they do that, and you got, since he brought a blitz right up towards the center, and Layden Robinson and David Andrews pick it up. Mike Onwenu at right tackle forces his guy inside. Caden Wallace, who they had as the tight end there, forces his guy inside. Then it's Hunter Henry and Jalen Polk on the edge, and both of them won their blocks and sealed their guys on the inside. And then it was a one-on-one Ramondre Stevenson with a corner, and RIP to Dax Hill's ankles on that play. And it turns that into a first down, and there were 3 or 4 runs like that. Ramondre looks fresh, by the way. The way he is running today, I think made me look at last season differently. He looks like a faster player. He looks quicker.
Yeah.
Change of direction is much better. So I must have been playing with an injury or something for most of last season. But
He dropped some weight too, I think. A little bit, at least.
maybe. But whatever it is that's working, you get this Ramondre Stevenson for the whole season. He's going to be 1,000-yard rusher. There's really no doubt about it. As long as he stays healthy, because he was 20. You see at the bottom of the screen right there, 25 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown, and that includes some very powerful runs on the last drive of the game to get some first downs and seal the victory.
It never went down on first contact. It seemed like just tough to tackle, tough to bring down. Not just running through guys, running around them, making quick. He has a really good way of making just those small little moves, and those small little moves that get him some space. And I was really, really, really impressed by that. And so, and again, it's something that we kind of knew, and I feel like not that we expected it necessarily, but I feel like we've seen it from him before. But man, I was so very impressed with that and with their ability to run the ball. Layden Robinson looked awesome. And again, pass pro needs some work from everyone, right? Obviously, we mentioned, we were talking before about, Okorafor gets benched, doesn't come back in. Vidarian Lowe at left tackle didn't look great. He was okay, but didn't look great. Again, Caden Wallace looked good, but he's playing tight end, and they're running almost every time he's in there. So it's not as though he's in pass pro, right? And even when he's out at tight end, right? He's the third guy in the line. So it's a little bit one of those things where they have some work to do, but for one day it looks really good. And you get Seattle coming in next weekend, and Seattle looked okay for the most part in this game against Denver.
Slow start, but they put it together by the end.
Yeah, and I just think that you can run on them. You can run on that team. And their passing attack's good, but they're not. I don't know. Geno Smith doesn't impress me. Still doesn't do it for me.
I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but there's that Seattle offense. I don't think is. Well, it's hard to tell right now how they compare to somebody like what we saw with Cincy today, because Cincy didn't have depth on offense. And Seattle, I think, does have that. I think they have more able pass catchers.
Well, what I don't understand about Seattle is you have DK, Lockett, and JSN, and you're just not throwing it. I don't know. I don't understand their offense. Those guys don't get enough targets. Just seems like every time you need a big play, you can throw it to Lockett, he's going to catch it every time.
Yeah.
JSN was like the best receiver in the world. He was like Marvin Harrison Jr. when he came out. Now, obviously, he wasn't quite as good, but he's incredible. And
he was very good in college.
So
I'm gonna rewatch that Seahawks game this week and get some clearer thoughts on what they're doing over there. But that'll be a very interesting matchup. I thought Layden Robinson, some rough moments in pass protection, but as a run blocker, very good. He and Onwenu on the right side is powerful. I do think David Andrews definitely had some weak moments today, but still pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, I thought, was surprisingly good at left guard. I didn't think about the fact that it was that's really, in some ways, you think about it, that's their fourth string left guard. If you think about Cole Strange as plan number 1, City So is number 2, Nick Leverett is number 3, and now it's Michael Jordan there, and I thought he held his own. I don't think he's not a starter caliber player, but if he's your backup, I feel pretty good about that. And I think he outplayed today with what we saw from Nick Leverett in the preseason, which makes me wonder how the roster spots are going to shake out over the next couple of weeks here. And left tackle was an issue, but it's going to be an issue all season. I don't think you're fixing that right now. So if you can get the 4 spots on the right side figured out, which they might have right now, you just keep trying different things at left tackle, and either until something works or the season ends. You just give everybody chances, and hopefully somebody wins it. Okorafor was really rough early. They pulled him fast. They pulled him in the middle of a drive, and there was no injury update with it. Maybe he's got something nagging and it wasn't worth, an injury report. But they pulled him in the middle of a drive. He looked slow. His first step off the line was very slow. and that was an issue. And Lowe went in, and Lowe immediately got a false start. He gave up a couple of pressures. He was having a tough time out there as well. But if Onwenu is playing well for you at right tackle, and you're solid on the inside, then you can scheme around having one bad tackle. It's going to cause issues, like something you have to fix.
Right.
It puts a ceiling on the offense with everything else that's going on. But through the lens of where you're at this season, your expectations for this season, that's not going to spoil your party.
100%, and that's kind of all you're looking for, right? What can we get out of these guys, right? Yeah, so we'll see. I just think that I was really impressed with the whole kind of way they did it. And look, AVP, and this is the other thing, right? The rookie coaches, man, AVP having never called, never saying never, but having basically never called a game before, right? DeMarcus Covington having never called a game before, outside of the Shrine Bowl last year. And, Drod Mayo having never been the head coach for a football game. Yes, he had the preseason, but that doesn't count. These are real games that you're playing in. And the first time you have a real game, you win. And AVP, I thought, did a great job at scheming things up. And so did Covington, right? And so it was one of those one. And again, there's going to be growing pains. You're going to see them making some mistakes. You're going to see some things happen, that you're like, what are you doing? But for the most part, I thought it was, I thought they did a great job. One interesting, on the coaching note, one interesting thing about Zach Taylor, he had a challenged the play on the Ramondre fumble, and I had thought at the time that it was a stupid challenge, and then I heard what they challenged, which is the fact that they said he was down by contact, which it wasn't even close to being down by contact, but they said he was down by contact. And so you knew it was a fumble. Everyone knew it was a fumble. You could see it was a fumble. But now it was like, do we recover it or not? Well, it makes sense to challenge the play because you're going to win the challenge. It was clearly a fumble.
Yeah.
But do you get it and do you not get it? You don't know for sure if you're going to get it or not. But shoot, throw the challenge flag because at the worst, you win the challenge and they keep the ball. At the best, you win the challenge and get the ball, right? So I thought that was a smart play by him to do that and challenge that call. Not that was like some great, thinking outside the box or anything like that. But I thought it made a ton of sense to do that because, you're going to win the challenge no matter what. And then it's the question, how good of a play was it, right? And so that was, a nice play, I thought.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind that. I want to go back to the Patriots defense for a sec here. Something that I noticed today: Marcus Jones at safety, like real, not like we're gonna rotate him as a disguised coverage. No, Marcus Jones at safety. They gave him snaps there, which it seemed to be they would do that. Like instead of putting Jalen Hawkins out there, they would put Marcus Jones deep and bring up either Duggar or Peppers closer to the line of scrimmage. They did that a ton when there were like multiple tight ends on the field. I really like that. The reason Marcus Jones was in position to scoop up the fumble forced by Kyle Duggar, they had him playing middle of the field safety. And they had Duggar up playing man coverage on a tight end, Peppers on the other side playing, I think he was just in a bracket coverage on Jamar Chase. So you just have Marcus Jones in the middle of the field, and he's in the right spot to pick up that fumble, which, by the way, picking up that ball on the bounce where he did on the field.
It's a real nice play.
Yeah, incredible play. He has fantastic hand-eye coordination to do that. I see you leaning so you can show off the Marcus Jones jersey behind you.
There it is, baby. Yep, there it is.
Wrong side. There it is. Yeah, incredible. And it's, if he doesn't make that play, Bengals easily could have scooped that up and brought that in for a touchdown themselves. So I thought he was amazing. And he had the tackle on, it was the second drive the Bengals
on the tight end,
comes up with a hard hit to stop somebody short of the sticks there. A physical player for somebody his size. Great hand-eye coordination, and his awareness seems a lot better this season. He was a question mark, and I think that's going the way we wanted it to go.
Yeah, when you think about him, and when I look at him, I see a guy that's small, but he plays bigger than he actually is. Now, of course, he had the torn labrum last year, so he misses the season. But he's the type of guy that you want in that spot, right? That I love having him there. I absolutely love having him there. And I think he does make those plays. He's an instinctive guy that gets turnovers, that gets the ball, when other guys don't. And those are the types of things that I love to see. And I'm very excited about him being in that spot. He's my guy. I love him anyways. Everyone knows that. But I'm excited to see what he can do kind of moving forward, and hopefully he can stay healthy and, moving around a little bit on the defense and playing in different positions. And, that was in 2022 when you played Cincy here and of course lost on the Ramondre fumble, but he had that pick six, but he played T. Higgins extremely well. And twice just got bodied. And it was what are you going to do? T. Higgins is a foot taller than he is, right? And so, there's just nothing he could do on those plays. But outside of that, he just plays so competitively. They had the throw in the end zone. I think he was covering. I don't know who he was covering. I'm not sure. I think it might have been Irwin he was covering. I'm not sure. Either way, right? Burrow throws it up because he's well, screw it. Marcus is there, and maybe we can get it. Marcus jumps over jumps higher than the other guy did. And didn't get there. So, and jumps like a basketball player. So that's exactly what you want to see. And, I love the guy. I think, again, he was a huge miss. They missed him greatly last year is how I should phrase it. And I was happy to see it. And again, obviously Gonzalez comes back and holds Chase to three catches for 14 yards when he was covering him, right? Now, of course, Chase ended up with a few more catches, but I just thought he looked good.
Zone coverage, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I thought Gonzalez looked good. Jonathan Jones, too, looked good. He had another one of the really big plays of the game, the tackle on 4th and 2 to stop Cincy short of the sticks.
Yeah, that was a real nice play.
Real hard hit, which that was one of the things I was really impressed by with the secondary is they would fly around. They weren't really missing tackles. They were hitting guys square and knocking them back and wrap it up. I mean, the only play I can think of where they didn't was the touchdown run where Jalen Hawkins is trying to fit in the running lane there, and he kind of tries to hit with the shoulder instead of wrapping up and just misses. And you get the touchdown run, but that's it. If you're only giving up one touchdown in a game, you're only missing a couple tackles. You're mostly wrapping up and you're not even allowing yards through contact. You're pushing guys back at the hit point there. You're going to win a lot of football games. You're going to be in a lot of football games. And
100%. Yeah. And that's
and a lot of it started up front with dictating the game. Cincinnati tried to run early, couldn't run, and then had to go. Which, it's really funny. The Bengals and Patriots average the same number of yards per carry.
Really?
In this game. But it didn't feel like that. I think the Patriots were more willing to stick with it and they got more big plays out
Absolutely.
of it.
Yeah.
The Bengals went away from it pretty quickly. And
I think it was really just that one drive, right, where they had probably 50, 60 yards rushing on that one drive.
Maybe I think they had. I gotta look at
the Bengals. I mean, is what I mean.
Yeah. They had. If you're talking about just running, then I think there's one.
But that's what I mean. They had those few long running plays on that one drive.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Zach Moss had the 16-yard run,
right?
Which was a big one. Let's go. Yeah, that was their touchdown drive, which went 90 yards. But other than that, they had a couple other drives, but they had 63 yards on a drive that ended in the red zone. A couple other 35-yard drives, 35 and 37, 37 for the field goal. The Patriots just got stops for the most part. And then the play we haven't talked about in here, the unsung hero is Mr. Lieutenant Joe Cardona knocking a ball loose on a punt, which was a huge play. That gave the Patriots 3 points.
Yep.
And shout out to him knocking a ball loose. Jalen Hawkins, Johnny on the spot, jumping on the ball and get 3 extra points out of it.
Yeah. Well, and that's really what it comes down to, right? Those two those 2 turnovers, they turned them both into points. Now, they were only field goals, but guess how many points the Patriots won by? Right? And so that's how you win games, right? Especially when your offense isn't great. That's how you win games, right? And again, I do think that, and James just mentioned in the chat here, like, let's not turn around and say that, the Patriots are going to be competitive and be competing for a championship or, any of those things, right? I still think the Patriots are going to be struggling, right? I still think they're probably going to win 5 or 6 games at the most. But again, seeing them win this way tells you that they can win this way, right? And that's huge. That's important. I look at that and just say, like, okay, I feel like if they can win this way, that's how they have to win. We all know that's how they have to win. And so they show that they can do it against a team like the Bengals. And again, the Bengals are missing T. Higgins, whatever. They didn't play great today. They missed some opportunities for sure. All those things are true. They still did it, right? It's still the NFL. It's hard to win games, right? And the Patriots did. And that's good. And they should be commended for that. Now, again, whether they can do it next week and do it consistently, that remains to be seen. But for 1 week at least, they looked really good.
Well, and I think, the next step is growing from this. We all knew, we talked about it in the preview this week with Mike. The name of the game this year is growth. You're not really looking for a win total. Like, if this becomes a year where you care about the win total, that's awesome.
Right.
You will have accomplished something. That's not what you're going in as. You're going in as, let's look better by the end of the year than we do at the start. Let's have some young players break out. Let's have a foundation. Most importantly, let's have Drake May look good. I think what you saw today is that, that gives you the opportunity to keep building and get a win out of it, which is important for player development and building confidence and taking things to the next step. And I also think you look at the offensive line today, and Drake May can play behind that line.
I agree.
So I wonder when we're going to see him here. And we'll see what happens with Seattle. You get the 2 road games in weeks 3 and 4, which is tough. We talked about how that might set up a week 5 start date for Drake May, but I think if the concern was the supporting cast, I'm not really concerned about that at this point. And I think we talked about, you can talk about the supporting cast as an issue from multiple perspectives. You can talk about it from, is there enough talent where he can be successful? You can talk about, is the line good enough to put him out there? I wasn't worried about either of those, because if either of those are an issue, you're just immediately punting on the season, I think. The concern for me was, the actual coordination, guys knowing what to do. And outside of a couple plays, everybody knew what to do. Everybody was on the same page. There's not like a ton of pre-snap penalties. You're not getting behind the chains because of, your teammates making mistakes. They played decent football. They played mostly smart football. And if that's how it is, then Drake May doesn't have to be out there trying to fix everybody else's mistakes while he's growing. He can just focus on playing his game. And that alone makes me incredibly optimistic.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right, let's, you want to do an ad read? Want to do your ad read, and then we'll,
I think yours has to go first.
Oh, mine is going first. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. That's,
are we going to talk about our picks while we do it, or no?
No, let's say that for the end.
Oh, all right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. I can do that. All right. Jump me up.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, we're here to talk about Prize Picks, of course. Okay, so Prize Picks is America's number one daily fantasy sports app, and it's the official daily fantasy sports app of CLNS Media. All right. Now, if you go on to Prize Picks, you can get if you put a $5 bet in instantly, you will get $50. You got to put in the promo code CLNS, but that's what you got to do. Now, here's the thing. For 2 to 6 players, all you have to do is pick more or less for 2 to 6 players. And in the month of September, they're giving it away. Caleb Williams, in the month of September, you can put in, over 0.5 passing yards. So they're giving you one win right off the bat. Okay. So put that $5 in, get $50 instantly, download Prize Picks, and use the promo code CLNS. Now, we're going to talk about our picks this week, and so I won't get quite into that, but you got to stick around for those. And Download Prize Picks, put in the promo code CLNS, and for that first $5, you'll get $50 instantly. Prize Picks. Run your game.
There we go.
There he is.
Look at that. We're professional.
Off the cuff, I wasn't prepared for it, but there it was. So, all right,
it's week one for us. We just got through talking about how the Patriots were, coordinated and knew what they were doing out there, and
very true. Yes, I was not, but that's okay. We're here. Jermaine, it's about progress, not perfection. I think it's perfectly well stated. We've talked about it a bunch of times, right? We want to see them get better, right? Would I have liked to see them, bring Jalen Polk a little bit more into the offense? Yeah, he had one catch on one target. Would I have liked to see them use Tyquan Thornton a little bit more? Yes. Do I want to see Caden Wallace starting left tackle? Yes. But I think overall, can we get these guys to play better? And Fast Magician says, they're going to be a huge pain in the ass for every team. They are. I don't know how good they're going to be. They're going to be a huge pain in the ass for every team, especially if you play like that. Goodness.
Yeah, and you're going to be physical. You're going to wear teams down, and that's the whole name of the game here, is just to frustrate teams, make games closer than they think it's going to be. You hope they slip up and make a mistake somewhere. And you saw Geno Smith threw a real ugly interception today. He'll give you some. He's a much better quarterback now than he was when he was in New York, but he likes to air it out. He'll give you some. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers looks like when you get him in week 3. Brock Purdy in week 4. He will give you some. I'll say the Dolphins today did not look great. We'll see how that game looks in week 5, because Tua, that's a timing-based offense. You disrupt the timing, you can totally get to him.
Absolutely.
It's a bunch of offenses with quarterbacks that you can capitalize on, and get the fumble luck your way like you did today, then you can play with anyone.
Yeah. Well, and I feel the same way, right? You play with that same type of intensity that they played with today, and you can give a game to any team, right? You can get them off of their block. You can, get them a little scared, right? To be frank. And I think that's, I don't know if you can keep that up for 17 games, right? That's a lot to ask to keep that up for 17 games, but that was awesome. I was really happy to see that.
Yeah. So, something else I was reminded of in this game, because we didn't get to see a ton of it in the preseason. Juwan Bentley, Jelani Tavai, really, really good players.
Yeah.
It's when we talk about stopping the run, obviously a lot of the credit is going to go to the defensive line and defensive tackles.
Of course.
The amount of times you see one of those two linebackers right up on the line of scrimmage, mucking it up with the offensive line. You got them one-on-one with a guard, not giving up any ground against the run and making tackles.
Right.
So you're playing like a defensive tackle out there as a middle linebacker, those guys, and they can step down and play on the edge too. They can blitz. They're not terrible in coverage. Those two guys are fantastic, and it's a treat to watch them play.
Yeah, I agree. And it's really, we went from questioning if they'd be any good, to feeling that they looked really, really good. So, we'll see.
Well, and this is, I think, to a degree, relative to expectations. If this is the way the Bengals end up playing every week this year, this is not a Super Bowl caliber team. I thought the Bengals defense had some real rough marks to it. They're counting on a lot of internal growth that I'm not sure I have seen from their players, and their offense has no depth. So, we'll see how quality of a win this looks in a couple of weeks. But a win is a win. The Patriots haven't won a road opener since, I believe, 2013. Haven't won an opener since 2020. Doesn't really matter how it happens. It happened, and that is huge for you right now. And then you just try to build on it. You try to address some of the dumb plays, like Jacoby Brissett just chucking a ball off his back foot into the end zone, and Hunter Henry making one of the plays of the game and ripping a ball away from a defender to save 3 points. It might have been that. No, I don't remember if it was that play or the series before, but Pop Douglas, I think it was Pop Douglas or Thornton and Polk ran into each other. Crossing routes from opposite sides of the formation, just ran into each other, weren't running it properly. It was assume Polk is probably to blame on that as the younger guy who's less refined at this point. Little things like that are running play where that was just a mess. Where it was one of those where they're trying to pull guys from the backside and the blocks just aren't working and people don't know who they're blocking. So still some mental miscues in there that you want to clean up, but not a whole lot. I thought, another note here, well, I mentioned Jalen Polk. I thought Polk looked pretty good today. He only gets the one catch. They didn't throw the ball a ton, and Brissett just didn't look his way a lot.
Right.
But when I saw him out there, I thought he looked pretty good. I thought he had some good speed. I thought he was getting separation. I think if he was targeted more, he would have had a decent stat line today. So hopefully that's something that they can build off of, and we'll see how he looks. Yeah, once the calendar flips into October.
Yeah, I agree. And so, for me personally, two guys I think that deserve a shout out are two guys that, frankly, at the beginning of the year were questioned. Jacoby Brissett, number one, played his butt off today. And, he's not the answer. He's not the guy. I do want Drake May to take over for him, by mid-season probably. But the way that he plays the game, right? The way that he plays the game is, you just love to see the way he plays because he works his butt off. He makes competitive throws. He'll make a bad throw every now and again. I mean, that was a really bad throw that Hunter Henry broke up, right? Saved an interception in the end zone. But, he'll make some bad plays. But you love the compete level from him. You love the way he gets the offense rolling. And so I love to see him doing that, which was great.
Mm.
And then Joey Sly. Joey Sly just, we have a kicker. Right? Like that means something. If this game was played last year, the Patriots probably lose this game.
Yeah.
Right? Because is Chad Rowland hitting 3 field goals? Probably not. And, and so they win because Joey Sly goes 3 for 3 in field goals. And that's, that to me is one of those things that I just, that was, it was nice. It was nice to feel like you have a kicker again. And Joey Sly's not gonna be perfect. He's gonna miss some kicks. He's not he's not the best kicker ever, but just to have a little bit of consistency felt real nice.
Yeah, no, that was nice. There's no nerves when they go out there to kick something. It's Brissett tough as a runner. You can see at the bottom of the screen right now, 7 carries for 32 yards, and that includes his kneel downs at the end, which are going to take away from that. But on that long touchdown drive where they killed the clock, the first quarter going into the second quarter, there he picked up first downs a couple times with his legs.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been just once during the game. He moved the chains.
No, I'm pretty sure it was twice. I'm pretty sure you're right. It was twice
on that drive.
On that touchdown drive.
And he hit Pop Douglas on the over on the third and long too.
Yep.
And just the toughness, laying his body out there.
Mm-hmm.
This, in some ways, this team is kind of like last year's team, except they hit the kicks. The fumble luck went their way. And despite the offensive line still having some issues in pass protection, they had a quarterback who was mobile enough to make it matter less.
Right.
To find some hope. I felt like last year it was always one catastrophic failure somewhere on the offensive line. And this year it feels like it's pretty consistently at the same spot. So you can at least plan around it a little bit. The quarterback knows, hey, this is where I have to go. And it's a little bit of an issue that's on the left side because Brissett keeps scrambling to his left. You can tell he is not comfortable throwing there.
Yeah.
He was a little bit off on a throw to Osborne. And there were other ones where he just wasn't going to pull the trigger. Running left, they even bootlegged him out right at one point. And he had an open guy at the second level, and he just totally missed it. He's trying to throw on the run, and he just couldn't make the throw. And those are the ones you're hoping that once Drake May is in there, he has the athleticism to hit it. Just got to make sure he can hit it consistently. But they did enough to win today. Brissett putting the team on his back by playing physically, which everybody's going to rally behind. That's how you earn that C on the chest.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah. And that's it, right? It's that's what you want to see out of your leaders, man. That's what you want to see out of your leaders, right? And again, let's not get it twisted, right? Jacoby Brissett's not a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. He's not certainly not a top 10 quarterback, but like he's a guy that's going to compete hard. And what's clear from this team is that they bought into that. They were excited about today. They were excited for Mayo. They have a different energy about them. And again, that's no shade at Bill Belichick. That's not saying anything about Bill. It has nothing to do with Bill Belichick. They're excited to play for Gerard Mayo. Yep. They're excited about it. Right? Now, at a certain point, right, if you're not winning, that excitement can drop down. Right? You can lose that excitement. But they won. Yeah. So that's all that really matters, right? Which was great. Yeah. If they continue to compete and play well, and the coaches continue to put players in positions to succeed, right? And the players keep doing it, then people are going to look in and say, okay, all right, we feel like we're going somewhere now, right? We feel like we have something, right? And again, that's not this year. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's the year after that. I don't know, right? But the point here is that you can see the vision, right? And I think that's one of those things. You can see the vision and you can see where this is headed. And if they can continue to do this, it's going to make them buy in. And someone like Brandon Ayuk, who didn't want to come here, right, might want to come here in the future. And that can make all the difference in the world, especially when you're trying to attract free agents. And, listen, the guy's going to come for the biggest contract if he's a free agent. That's basically going to happen, right? But if they want to play here, that is even better. And I think hopefully that will happen.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about in this one is just end of game execution. The last time that these two teams played, the Patriots were down by 4 points, and they get the ball into their red zone with under a minute to go, with the opportunity to get a touchdown and take the lead, and you fumble the ball. You get the ball back, but turnover on downs, and you just can't. That's it. You fumble in the red zone, and that's kind of the ball game. You look at what happened the last couple drives today. The Bengals kick the field goal. They get within 6 points, make it 16-10. Patriots get the ball back with 6 minutes left. Big run from Ramondre, moves the chains, and then 2 runs and a completion. You don't get the first down, but just that possession pulls off over 3 minutes off the clock. You start 6 minutes left. The Bengals get the ball back with 3 minutes left. You get a great defensive sequence there. You force you put the Bengals in a spot where you're down by 6 with 2 minutes left in the game, and you have to punt because of
because you're at the 10-yard line. Game's over if you don't get it, right?
Exactly. And it was 4th and 5 too, which, part of this was Bryce Baringer with a great punt to pin them back. Patriots defense gets the stop, which they needed. And then Patriots get the ball back, 2:13 left. 7 plays, 24 yards. They take off the rest of the clock and finish out the game. And you got a 9-yard run from Ramondre Stevenson, and then another 9-yard run from Ramondre to pick up a pair of first downs there to ice the game. And it's one thing to be able to run the ball on first down early in the game when you're just trying to set the tone and defense doesn't know what you're doing. Bengals know exactly what you're doing there. And to still run the ball and to break out big plays, it's a credit to the offensive line. It's a huge credit to Ramondre Stevenson.
Absolutely.
And these are the plays that they weren't making. Forget last year, the last couple seasons, the offensive execution has been way too inconsistent. So when there's in these spots, you can't count on them to execute, and they were able to get it done today. Hopefully this is a theme throughout the season, and they can execute in these spots, because if they can do that, then you can close out some of these low-scoring defensive battles and turn them into wins. When in the past couple seasons, you're allowing a score, or you're fumbling, you're throwing a pick late in the game, whatever it is, and you're losing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, this is and again, there's a long way to go. A long way to go. But it's good to see them be able to do that. Right? That's important for them to be able to do. And so we'll see. But All right. We mentioned the punter. You mentioned Bryce Behringer. The punters today were awesome. Both teams, the punters were awesome. It was an 80-yard punt by the Bengals in the first quarter or second quarter. It was incredible. Bounced, just bounced out of the end zone. Thank God. But it was an incredible punt. Behringer was awesome. I think averaged over 50 yards. A kick. I think he pinned them inside the 23 times. So those are the things you love to see. You're gonna have to keep winning that way, or you have to keep doing that and keep winning that way, and they were able to do it this week. So,
yeah, Rakow, the punter for Cincinnati, was unbelievable.
He was awesome.
He had an 80-yard punt as a franchise record.
Yeah,
and this is, you talk about if this game goes the other way, one of the winning plays you're talking about is the fact that the Bengals are punting from their own 15 with a little over 2 minutes left in the game. And Rakow has a 70-yard punt and puts the Patriots back at what ended up being their own 30 after the return and a penalty on Cincinnati. But the punt is going far.
It was an incredible punt. Yeah.
And there was no return. It was a fair catch, but the punt goes to the 75, like that, or to the 25, which is incredible.
He had 4 punts. He averaged 64.5 yards. 64.5 yards on 4 punts. That's insane.
Which, if you want to look for a reason for optimism for New England going forward, you're probably not going to play a punter like this, right. Which means field position wise, you should be starting in better spots. Hopefully, the Patriots had a bunch of drives started at the 30. One started at the 35, and then 3 at or inside the 20. So it still averages out to decent field possession. But it's not like there's any there's nothing from the 40 plus. So there's no drives in there where you're forcing to stop deep in a team's own territory and you're catching a punt at midfield. That wasn't happening today.
Right.
And that will happen in future games if the defense plays like this, and that turns a couple of these offensive possessions into field goals instead of punts, or however it goes.
Yeah.
Should we do my little game time ad read, and then we'll wrap this up?
We want to do the 3. Do we want to give out a few game balls? And then we'll also
we could do 3 up, 3 down, but I don't think we have. But I don't know if we have exact numbers, so we can just do up and down.
Yeah, we'll do a few up. Yeah, a few ups and a few downs, and we'll talk about our prize picks things as well.
Yeah. All right. So looks like I am jumping right into the hot seat here. You guys are getting me right up close to it in person. Let's talk about game time. I love going to football games. We got Pats Jets coming up. I live here in New York City, so I'm going to be trying to go to that one. Love being there. I get to hear all the Jets fans booing their own team, which is always a great time when you get to do that live instead of through the TV. You can do that easier than ever before now with Game Time. Makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams live even easier. You can filter out the fluff. You can see the incredible deals on great seats that they have to make your ticket searching process even easier. That's the name of the game. We all hate buying tickets, and you know what? I hate when I'm buying tickets. I hate having to look at all the fees. But with Game Time, you can use all-in pricing. So you're going to pay what you see right there on the map. You can click on it, see what your view is going to be from your seat, and there you go. Buy the ticket. It's just that easy. They got super deals. Prices get lower the closer that you get to game time. And it's fantastic. Used it last week to buy some Red Sox Mets tickets, so I highly recommend it. Go ahead, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Love it.
Yeah. Speaking of tickets, I'm just going to mention this on the show real quick because I wonder if there's any fans in the chat here. I just got tickets for Linkin Park, of all bands, in the year 2024. Who saw it? Who saw that coming?
Pretty exciting. Pretty exciting, honestly.
Yeah, diehard fan. Never thought I'd see them again live. So I'll be
doing
that next week.
I'll tell you. Their album with Jay-Z might be like the coolest album ever. Just so cool.
Okay, so a little because I know a lot about this album. I love it. There's a whole documentary on how it was made. It was supposed to, for anybody who doesn't know, Collision Course. This is early 2000s.
Yeah.
MTV was like, we're gonna make an album that's all mashups, and like we're gonna have a bunch of different bands on it. And Linkin Park wanted to do a song with Jay-Z, so one of the guys in Linkin Park, Mike Shinoda, just on his own mashed up a bunch of tracks that he liked that thought worked well with Jay-Z. And then they invited Jay-Z into the studio. And basically all the tracks were done, and they just had Jay-Z re-record a couple of the lyrics and a couple of the verses. Yep. And they put together a 6-track album, and that was the whole thing. Instead of being all these bands, it was just Linkin Park and Jay-Z.
And it was so good. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, and they debuted it live. They just did. Linkin Park sent out to their fans a survey, and anybody who said they liked Jay-Z or rappers like Jay-Z got invited to a secret concert in LA, and they showed up. And it was just Linkin Park and Jay-Z. They played the album from start to finish, and
incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, if you like that kind of music, go look up that concert because it's crazy.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, and if you haven't listened to Collision Course somehow, give it a listen. It's so good.
Oh yeah,
it just works so well. Like his verses work so well with the with the beats that they make. So
yeah. One of my favorite things when they do it live on 99 Problems. There's the part in the song where he's talking to the police officer. And Mike from Linkin Park doing the police officer thing. He's got like a whole voice and everything, which is so much fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
So all right, let's get into our 3 ups, or I guess ups and downs. I guess. A few obvious ones, few obvious ups. We've talked about Ramondre Stevenson at length. Clearly, he's an up. Obviously,
did we just give him the game ball right now? I think that's
100%. The game ball has to go to Ramondre. There's no one else it can go to. Maybe if he were given a defensive game ball, though, you'd have to give it to Keon White. 2.5 sacks today. A problem. He is going to be a problem this year. And he said, he's not the most talented guy as far as, with his variation of moves and everything like that. But man, he is just tough to stop. And, it's unfortunate that Barmore's hurt because him and Barmore together on the inside would just be nasty. So he was awesome today. And I'm looking forward to more of that with him this year.
Yeah, I thought he was awesome. I think we have one other game ball defensively. Maybe Marcus Jones. I thought he was that good watching the tape. I thought he was excellent. Christian Gonzalez, I think you could give it to. I think you could give ups to, I think, like everybody on the defense. Like the only 2 players who I've noticed made bad plays. That was Jalen Hawkins whiffing on a tackle and a touchdown. And I didn't think Kyle Duggar played Mike Gesicki very well on the jump ball. Ended up coming back. But he made up for it by forcing a fumble on the next play. Which I will say he didn't have the best coverage on it, but I also thought that had more to do with Marco Wilson underneath. Marco Wilson in a situation like that, you're supposed to jam the receiver so that the safety can get over faster. I just didn't think he did that well. So maybe we include Marco Wilson in the downs, but I don't know, he helped the Bengals to 10 points. I don't think there's any downs on this defense.
Right. It does feel a little ticky-tack, right? Obviously, the 2 downs have to go to the 2 left tackles, right? A core 4 was awful. I assume that's the last you'll see of a core 4 at left tackle. They might try him there again because they're just so thin there.
Well, and I'm not opposed to, you just keep the rotation going until somebody wins it, and that also means everybody's fresh. So,
true, yeah, and that's a good point as well. And so I think when you start to look at what they can do over there, obviously I want to see Caden Wallace over there at left tackle. That's what I want, right? Yeah. But you also understand that they, at a certain point, you just can't, you can't randomly put him out there, right? And also, he played a good amount at that, tight end spot, so he's getting the reps, which is good.
Yeah. Who I think could, in theory, be a down today also is Nick Leverett, because we talked about him as your super sub interior offensive lineman. Michael Jordan took his spot there. We talked about him as the possible 6th offensive lineman who they were going to use in that role. And Caden Wallace took his spot there. So, by process of omission, I think he could be a down on the offensive line. You know who I think? Oh, go ahead. You go and I'll.
No. I was gonna agree with you. That's all.
Yeah. Who I think was an up. And I think has been an up for me relative to expectations since the preseason. Austin Hooper, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a fan of the signing, but he has been surprisingly good.
Yeah. He's a good player. He's not a great player, but he's a good player. And I think that's exactly what you need out of your tight end too. It's that type of player that you need out of your tight end too. And I was really happy to see him
He would
he'd
be the best tight end on the Bengals right now with what we were seeing over there.
Yep.
And he's useful, a surprisingly good blocker. Like I underestimated his blocking ability.
Yeah.
I thought he did a very good job there. I think he's an upgrade on Pharaoh Brown. And I wanted them to re-sign Pharaoh Brown. So I'm glad they didn't listen to me and they got somebody better.
Yeah.
There was a run though. Antonio Gibson had one. It ended up being like a 9-yard gain, 8-yard gain. I think it was the last play Okorafor had on the second drive. And they had Austin Hooper blocking defensive end Sam Hubbard 1-on-1. And he sustained the block for the length of the play. He turns Hubbard and boxes him out and gets movement, which creates space. And Gibson gets a 1-on-1 with a linebacker in the hole, makes him miss, and then breaks out for the run. And it doesn't happen without your tight end too successfully blocking a starting defensive end for a long time during a play. So I thought that was really, really impressive. And he also had a catch in there that I was surprised they overturned. That catch where he went to the ground and then the ball came out. I personally, on first viewing, thought he had that long enough to be a catch, and I was surprised that didn't get more discussion. But
he had
a good,
who knows? No one knows what a catch is. Nobody knows what a catch is. So
he had that good yak play too. They ran. It was almost like a tight end screen to him, almost where they have all the receivers run from the right side to the left side. He leaks out to the right, and they give it to him and picked up a first down. That was a chunk play for him. He was their leading receiver on the day.
That was a nice little play. Nice little play by him. So, we'll see. I thought they played pretty well, man. I thought I was happy to see him play well. And so, I mean, it's a question as to whether or not they can, again, whether he can kind of continue to be useful and things. We'll see. But at least for the time being, it was good to see. So,
Joey Sly goes on the
Joey Sly. Yeah, definitely. Good call with that. Good call with that one. And then I'm trying to think. There's Brissett too. I think Jacoby Brissett is definitely an up for sure. He wasn't perfect, but he played well enough to get the Patriots to win.
Yeah, he exceeded expectation. And I thought a lot of guys in the offense fell into that bucket where they weren't necessarily good, but they exceeded the expectations. They did their job when they were called upon. Like another guy who's in that is Tyquan Thornton. I think only 2 catches on the day, but one of them was a slant on second down where he wins off the release and gets enough of the yards back that you can convert on third. And the other one was one of those big play action plays where he finds a hole in the zone and catches it for a pretty decent gain. And they didn't throw the ball much. They didn't ask a whole lot of their receivers today, but they came to Thornton twice, and both times he delivered. That's big. That doesn't do anything to change my opinion of Tyquan Thornton yet. But he's winning when they're asking him to win on a small sample size, and I'll take that right now.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, Burley in the chat says, "How about Cardona?" Oh yeah, he's an up.
It's a good one.
The lieutenant.
Yeah, that's a good one. Anytime you can force a fumble, it was a perfect form tackle, right? A perfect form tackle. Gets his helmet right on the ball, knocks the ball out. It was great. So definitely happy to see about that. So
just another general note on this before we wrap up and do our prize pick stuff. We were trying to figure out what the distribution of the ball is going to look like for this team. After the preseason, they got a lot of guys and 15 completions. Nobody had more than 3 catches. KJ Osborne, Ramondre Stevenson, each with 3 catches. Jalen Volk had 1, and then Hooper, Thornton, Henry, and Douglas all with 2.
Yeah.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 5 receivers with at least 10 yards. Nobody has more than 31. Like it's not a lot of yards or targets in this offense in general, but it's all very spread out. Everybody's getting looks. The most targets was KJ Osborne with 6.
Yeah, I was going to say he should have had a lot
one,
more than 3 catches.
but he also the 3 were incomplete. One of them sailed way over his head. One of them was a weird throw right on the sideline, and the other one was him on a crossing right on the first 3rd down, where it would have been like a real fingertip catch to bring it in. So
yeah, I thought one of them was a pretty obvious catch. I mean, it was a little high. Say airmailed it just a little bit, but I thought he should have come down with it. So. I think ultimately I was pretty happy with the performance of the offense. And again, the passing game is going to have to be a lot better if you're going to actually hope to compete.
Yes.
But you're not really hoping to. Not that you're not hoping to compete, but you're not expecting to really compete right now. And so the the passing attack can get better as you go because you're not necessarily worried about winning games. And hey, you win a game, maybe you can win another one. Who knows? And so. Go ahead.
This is not a team that's equipped to beat you throwing the ball 35, 40 times a game. That's not how they're going to win games. Then the other part of this is they get the lead early. You get the touchdown, first play of the second quarter, where you've established some dominance on the ground and you're able to really control the clock. And the idea was to keep the number of possessions in this game low, and it was. So the Patriots only had 10 possessions. One of those was the final one where you're not looking to score.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals only had 8. So like if you take out the last possession where the Patriots weren't trying to score, they scored 1.78 points per possession. That's what it was. I did the math earlier, which last year would have been tied for 22nd in the league with the Chargers, which isn't great. But if they keep that up all season, and they had the 22nd ranked offense in the NFL, I think we'd all be pretty happy with that result. From
100%. 100%. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about all year. Go from 32 to mid-20s. If you can go from 32 to mid-20s, then you can feel like, all right, we're making some progress. We can go from there. And James mentioned they'll improve with Bourne, and I agree with that it will improve once KB gets out there. So I think that's helpful as well.
And you're hoping for a guy like Jalen Polk to improve during the year. Javon Baker, healthy scratch.
He's just not ready yet. He's just not ready.
But I do wonder if that is at all related to his little highway incident.
Certainly could be.
On Instagram, they said it wasn't going to affect his playing time. I don't know. Coach just lied to the press, so it wouldn't shock me if they weren't going to publicize that was part of his punishment, but it was. But that'll be something to monitor.
You got to think he's not a big part of the game plan, anyways, and so it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you're a healthy scratch. Sorry.
Well, and Kayshon Boutte was one of 2 players. He and Drake May were the only 2 players that were active today and didn't play a single snap. But that's also that's the like Boutte. We said no special teams value right now. He's not even getting out there for that, which is tough. So that'll be how they evaluate that last wide receiver spot will be interesting. We'll say developing the receivers might be a little hairy here because if they're going to be running the ball this often every game, there's just not a lot of reps to go around.
Yeah.
If no receivers really getting more than 4 or 5 targets in a game, there's only so much the receivers are going to be able to do production wise. But I also wonder if this changes throughout the year. Hopefully the offensive line gets better. And once Drake May comes in at some point, I think you're going to have him throw the ball a little bit more than you've got Brissett doing it right now. So
yeah, I would agree.
But yeah. All right. Do we do our prize picks here?
Yeah, let's do it. You want to go first? Yeah, why don't you go first?
I had Travis Kelce for less than, I think it was 60.5 receiving yards. I got that correct. He had way fewer than that in the opener. I also had CeeDee Lamb for more than, I believe it was 83.5 receiving yards. He did not
not get that.
He had 61. He also had 25 rushing yards. So for total yards, he would have beaten that, but no. I did not have more than the target there.
Yep. I had so many prize picks lineups going today. So many. But my one that I talked about on the show, Ramondre Stevenson for more than 12.5 rushing attempts and Devonta Smith for more than 62.5 receiving yards. Hit that one. Nice little $15 bet right there. And then I also hit Caleb Williams more than 0.5 passing yards and Ramondre Stevenson for more than 12.5 carries. I love the Ramondre more than 12.5 carries. I thought it was crazy to think that he wasn't going to hit that. And so the Ramondre 12.5 was like, I was all in on the Ramondre 12.5 carries. And I hit that, which was great. And so, yeah. So I was excited about that one. Of course, the other one I was excited about was the Tyquan Thornton. And it was like 12.5 receiving yards or something like that, which that one, he had more than that as well, which was nice.
Yeah. And a different thing, my picks this week, our picks this week for the game picks, winners.
Yes.
Both got the opener right. We both had the Chiefs. We both got Cowboys over the Browns. You got it right with Steelers Falcons.
Bingo.
Which I will say, I did say during the show that if Justin Fields was the starting quarterback for the Steelers, I would have gone that way. But Russell Wilson was the projected starter, and then he got hurt. I'll stick him by my Falcons pick. I'm not going to change it, but I just want to point out that I did say that I would have felt differently about it if I knew Fields was going to play. We both have the Lions tonight, who are now currently trailing in this one late.
Yeah, Rams came back, so we'll see. They're getting the ball back right now. Cooper Kupp is just he's outrageous.
So
he's just outrageous.
And then we got Niners Jets tomorrow night. Which, by the way, I got to find a way to watch this because I am on DirecTV, and DirecTV has a issue with ESPN and Disney right now, so I don't get ABC or ESPN or any of that stuff. So I have to find a way to watch that. But yeah, fun little week one here.
That last touchdown pass put me out of last place in our guillotine league. So we're surviving till another week. So I'm excited about that. So James says go to a bar. He's a good point. Good point.
Might have to. Here's a question. Quinn Ewers to Carolina.
Man, Bryce Young looks like the worst quarterback in the league. He looks like the worst quarterback in the league.
I barely watched it. The only stuff I saw from the Panthers Saints game was the montage at the end of Red Zone where they just show every touchdown because I wasn't watching during the Patriots game. But every play in that looked like a high school team dunking on a middle school team.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe. And then I was just watching the score during the game every time it showed on the ticker, and I felt like every time it flashed up again on the ticker, there was another score for the Saints, which, I mean, that's bad for 47-10, I think was the final.
Yeah, I thought they'd be better with Dave Canales in there, and they just looked just as bad.
That's a thoroughly mediocre New Orleans team that they're playing against. That New Orleans is better. New Orleans should win that. That should be, like a 27-17 type game with the Carolina team we expected this year.
Well, and not just that, but this is the other thing you got to think about, right? Now, here's a team that scored 47 points. Their best offensive player had 2 catches. 2. Right? Chris Olave had 2 catches for 11 yards. He's their best offensive player. So something was weird about the way that they scored all those points, right? That was one of those things where you looked at it and said,
59-yard touchdown.
Yeah, it was bad, right? Like, he had a well, I love Rashid Shaheed this year, especially with, but like still, it's just one of those things where you're like, come on, man. Like, you can't, it was bad.
You let a team with Derek Carr quarterback with Rashid Shaheed and Foster Moreau and Jawan Johnson put 47 points on you.
Yeah.
Actually, they got Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams as well, but that's rough.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was real ugly.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Like, obviously, the Carolina offense was atrocious,
right?
But the defense too.
That's the thing.
The Carolina offense, bad.
They were just bad all around. All around.
I don't know what's going on down there in Carolina, but there's one other blowout. Oh, Minnesota over the Giants. I think we kind of expected that. The Giants
are terrible. Daniel Jones is awful.
And then the Cowboys blow out the Browns in the late window.
Yeah.
And Tampa blew out Washington.
Those 2 games were fairly close for a while. And then they just got away from them. Although I will tell you, Deshaun Watson is terrible. Terrible. Yeah. He's so bad. And I, for one, am not upset in the least. So,
no.
One other thing. Go ahead.
We talked about how Alex Van Pelt coming to the Patriots was like kind of a last-ditch effort by the Browns to make Deshaun Watson work, which, I thought Alex Van Pelt looked fine today, and that Browns offense did not. And that's usually how these things go when you're like hiring a coordinator to try to save a quarterback or hiring a coordinator to try to save a head coach.
Yeah.
Both of which are happening right now in Cleveland.
Right.
Sometimes the guy that you've let go was good, but you needed change because somebody has to get fired for what happened, and it can't be the quarterback right now, and the head coach isn't going to fire himself.
Right.
So that's how you end up there. And Alex Van Pelt looks fine. We'll see how this develops.
Yeah.
And not just this year, but year 2, year 3, year 4. Like, it's his evolution. But week 1 early returns, I feel better about Patriots offensive coaching than the Browns as the Rams.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Oh, he dropped that.
Sure did. Yep. Rams had a chance to basically ice it. Now that was it was third down anyway, so it's not like, but still, that would have been really good field position. One other thing I wanted to talk about, Tom Brady in the booth. What was your opinion of Tom Brady? I'll tell you, people were dunking on Tom Brady.
I didn't watch that whole
in his first game.
Watch the whole game. He sounded a little rough at points.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds at some points it almost seems like he's trying not to say the wrong thing while also trying to say all of the things that he's thinking while watching the game. That was rough at points, but I think he has the voice for it. There was the moment where there was like confusion over the down, and I thought he had some funny remarks in there. Let's see. I assume he will probably get better at this with time as he gets comfortable with it. So definitely a little rough around the edges today, but I think I hope he'll get there.
Well, I just think, people instantly, he's the worst I've ever seen. He's so bad. It's like, okay, relax. He wasn't great.
Yeah.
He was okay. He wasn't great. But let's be real here. He was fine. It was his first ever game doing it. He just retired. Greg Olsen, of course, got the call up to Fox and was a lot better than people expected, for sure. Greg Olsen had been in the media for multiple years before that, right? Yeah. He had been in the media. He had been comfortable in the media. Tom Brady just retired from football. So, let's give him a little bit of a break. Give him a few games before, we make a decision on what he's going to be, right? And so, again, not great. It wasn't a great first game. Okay, it was fine.
But I didn't think it was. Yeah, I didn't think it was awful or anything. It's just like a regular commentator.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully, he adds more insight. Tom is definitely somebody who takes himself very seriously, which may be a limiting factor in him being able to be kind of loose on the broadcast and make that work. But again, he's doing it all season through the Super Bowl, so he's going to get a lot of opportunities to improve. So I'm sure he will. I know he's working incredibly hard at this. Maybe he needs to work less hard at it and just focus on having fun while watching the game. But I'm going to be honest, there's a part of me that questions if Tom Brady can have fun watching a football game. That man might just get stressed every time he watches a football game.
You might be right about that. You might be right.
That might just be how his brain works at this point. He's just thinking about all the things that everybody's doing incorrectly or what he would be doing differently instead of just enjoying some of the entertainment value. But
yeah. So, and so what's interesting, and TD mentioned it, that he's going to now be the a minority owner of the Raiders, and what does that do, for him, right? And how, it's a little bit of a conflict of interest, if we're being honest. I don't know. Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see what that looks like.
And I don't like the idea of somebody having an ownership stake and also being a commentator. I don't think that should be a thing.
Yeah.
So I think Tom should probably just pick one. I'm not going to tell him no because it's Tom Brady. So,
right. And also, it's just an investment. It's an investment into it. And I mean, shoot, wouldn't you want to invest in an NFL football team? They make money hand over fist, whether they're good or not. So that's, look, Washington's one of the worst run teams in the NFL, and they made tons of money and sold for $8 billion, whatever the hell the number was. So, or it wasn't $8 billion, but you get the idea. So, that's one of those things that I look at and just think, man, it makes a ton of sense. But you're right. As a commentator, does that make you less effective as a commentator?
Well, there's rules that you have to follow too.
Yes. Right.
Like he can't be critical of officials, I don't think, if he's an owner. He can't do some of the meetings if he's an owner. Like, that complicates it. And it's like, I don't like that.
Right. Yeah. I agreed. So we'll see. Anyways, long way to go. One game in, but I just thought that was interesting. So
yeah.
And something worth talking about, certainly.
I agree. All right. Pat's 1-0 against the Seahawks next week.
Hey, man.
How do we feel about a victory?
Love to see it. You want to give me an oh yeah? I don't know if I can give you an oh yeah, but I feel damn good. I feel damn good about it.
I'm ready for this inside the locker room video to be released about them after the game. You saw Jabril Peppers, that video, him going to the locker room after yelling, and
real excited.
So hey, they got a great energy. They got a great culture this year, and like you said before, it's not a shot at Bill, but it's more so one of those things that sometimes you work for a boss for a long time. You don't dislike the boss, but you just need a different work environment to bring out something different in yourself. And that's all this is for these guys. This isn't Bill's the greatest of all time, and they needed something new.
Correct. And I also think too that you see him, and I think they relate to him in a different way. Right. And so I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I'll take it, and again, at a certain point, people are going to say, well, nobody cares. Right? If you're not winning, no one cares. But right now they are winning. So I'll take it. By the way, Cooper Kupp, all the way back. Big. I was huge on him. In fantasy football this year. Hopefully, you drafted Cooper Kupp over Puka Nacua, which is what I did. But he is all the way back.
Yeah, that I think stylistically, in a lot of ways, is what you're hoping someone like Jalen Polk can turn into. And I don't think he's probably going to be as good as Cooper Kupp. We look at a guy with great hands and savvy over the middle who has developed into a great technician running his routes. If you look at year 3, year 4, Jalen Polk, that's how you expect him to be winning at that point.
That's what you hope. Yeah, that's what you hope to see.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully he can do it as often as Kupp does.
Also, TD mentioned May wasn't in on the AVP and Brissett meetings. I hadn't heard that. But
yeah, I hadn't heard that
either. It would
be
strange if that's the case, because the whole point is you're trying to bring this kid along. I don't.
Well, I mean, I think it also, because we did mention how they have a big coaching staff around them, so they still have TC McCartney and Ben McAdoo and guys like that who are involved. So I do wonder if it might just be that Brissett's having extra meetings with AVP while May is doing development stuff with the quarterback coaches or whatever. Like we don't know what their plan is here. But yeah, I think that would suggest he might not be as close to starting as maybe we were hoping, but it also might just be that whoever the starting quarterback is going to get extra meetings with the offensive coordinator. Like, it might just be that simple.
And that's you're right. That certainly could be the case, right? It could be, hey, our meetings are done. We want to work on specific development stuff with Drake doing this, and this, and and then Brissett's going to meet with AVP for this type of thing or something like that. So I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
So.
But
we'll see. Also, Kyren Williams just ran out of bounds.
Yeah.
With 2.5 minutes left to go in the game. What are you doing?
I don't know. When is our next show? Wednesday night?
Our next show is going to be Wednesday night. Talking about week 2. Seahawks coming to town, baby.
Home opener.
Yep. It's going to be great. So we'll see. I'll be there at the home opener. If you guys are going to the home opener, let me know. If you're not going to the home opener right now, download Game Time. You get $20 off your first ticket. Come on, bro. $20 off your first ticket with code CLNS. Be there opening day. Maybe you'll see win number 2 for the Patriots this year. So
definitely go see Pat Lane. That's worth the price of admission alone.
Damn right. Get that right. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon. Patriots are 1-0. Feels damn good. Feels damn good for the Patriots people want to know. So we'll see you guys Wednesday night.